you really popped onto my radar recently when I saw a video of you speaking outside of a courthouse in Israel where a woman was being charged with a criminal offense for the crime of not sending her children to school. And I want to ask you about that, and also part two, what really struck me from your speech was that you referred to the modern state of Israel as Medinat Amalek, a country of Amalek, not the state of the Jews, but the state of Amalek. Can you tell us both about the court case and why you chose to use that reference?
Yes, so the court case is the state, that calls itself the state of Israel, is charging a woman, I call her Bat Israel. She's a daughter of Israel. The state cannot use the name, but the people can. And the state is charging Bat Israel for not sending her children to an institution that teaches Amaleki principles about health and life. And she decided it's better for her children's emotional, mental, spiritual state to be homeschooled, and so she didn't send them to school. And she's a very intelligent woman. She can do a very good job raising her children by herself, like many other people do with homeschooling. But in this case, the state actually decided to press criminal charges against this woman. In something that's not just Nazi, it's like it's communist, it's we have to control the education, no child can be educated in a different way than what we want them. And it goes against all the laws that I thought the state of Israel was based on, and definitely all of our values as the people of Israel. And in the things that I read out outside of the courtroom, I mentioned that education of children is one of the core values of the people of Israel. I mentioned how Abraham Avinu, the Bible mentions that he was chosen by God because not only of his righteousness, but also כדעתיו למען אשר יצווה את בניו ואת ביתו אחריו. He will keep righteousness through the generation, through the correct education that he will give his children. So education is such a basic value in Jewish life. And when a Jewish woman decides that the education that the state is giving them is not according to the values of God and life, then she has the right to keep them at home and give them the education she believes in. But the state by doing these charges, by pressing these charges against it, the state is actually saying to us, to all of the people here in the state, that they think they know how to educate our children better than us. And they think they're the parents. So this is a very dangerous case, and this is why I went there and called everyone to come. And as you said, a part of the words I said there, I was talking about basically how this whole Corona education that is brainwashing people and children, not only in school, but in the media, in the news, is in fact against life. This is the opposite of life. It's the opposite of happiness, of everything that represents life. It encourages fear and depression and staying at home between four walls and not hugging your parents or your grandparents and not sitting together in Chag. The Chagim, they're all lockdowns exactly on the Chagim these 2 years. So it goes against life, against Jewish traditions and the values of life. So, and for me, that's Amalek. Okay, Amalek is the rebels, right? Yad al-Kesya. Yad al-Kesya is an attempt to rebel against God. Okay, Yad al-Kesya milchama la'Hashem ba'Amalek. They are the people who are the rebels, the origin of the rebellion against God. It will go against life knowingly. And I also mentioned that they attacked the people of Israel, the only nation to attack the people of Israel as they come out of Egypt. But all the other nations are fearful because they hear about these people coming out miraculously out of Egypt. And one nation, knowing that this is a miracle, knowing that God is leading these people, still attack them. This is Amalek, the rebel. And so what I said in my words in front of the court is that I didn't call the state of Israel right now Medinat Amalek, but I was saying that if this is what they're doing, if they are charging people with these offenses, if they are attacking, essentially, the people of Israel through these institutions, through the courts, through the police, using the state institutions to attack the people for not laws of death, these values of death, then what they are doing is they are turning the state into the state of Amalek. So if they want, what I said is, if they want to do these things, first they need to change the name of the state to Medinat Amalek, and to take out the symbol of the menorah, the 7 candle, the 7 light menorah, take it out of the courtroom, because it has nothing to do with this sort of Amaleki rebellion. And then go and change the name to Medinat Amalek, and then they can do whatever they want, because at least they're being honest about it. Okay, we're Amalek, we're not Israel, we have nothing to do with the menorah, and then we want to educate you to values of death. But if they're trying to do it in a courtroom with the menorah on the wall while calling themselves Medinat Israel, it's not honest.
Well, that's actually the MO of Amalek. I've written several articles about this, and I spoke about this well. I think the first program in this lecture series, I gave a class about the Amalek. Their MO is actually not to tell the truth. They come dressed as other nations, in this case even as actual Jews, and that's how they insidiously trick people to do the wrong thing, because they're posing as the righteous ones. They're posing as they're telling you the truth, and they're helping you, and they're saving lives, and the greater good, and all that stuff, but they're wearing costumes. So this is what they always do. Amalek doesn't fly their own flag. They're always flying the flag of righteousness. Progress. Okay, so go ahead.
No, that's also is exactly what I mentioned earlier, that the speech outside the courtroom. I was saying that what they are doing by doing all these things, by mandating lockdowns and injections of the poison death shot, as Dr. Zelenko calls it, and tests, constantly testing us to get people to think that illness is the natural state and that you have to prove being healthy. All this is all a fool. This is all they're trying to make everything the other way around. And I said that by doing that, the state of Israel is actually raising the flag. You mentioned that Amalek don't never raise their own flag. But what they are doing is they're raising the flag of death. They're saying there's death, there's plague, there's sickness, and through the fear of death, the fear of whatever it is they're holding out and pushing on the screen, look, there's death, and they're saying fear it, and then in the name of fearing death, oppress life. So in essence, this is someone raising the flag of death, and in the name of death, trying to oppress life. There's nothing more contrary to God than that sort of action.